So Louis XIV, he is definitely our master of absolutism, right? He's the guy who's like, l'état c'est moi, I'm the state, I'm the Sun King. This dude definitely doesn't lack any pride. He may not be the most humble guy around, but he definitely knows how to rule a country and take absolute power in a way that kind of only he can. So let's think about the ways that absolutism in France, that his brand of absolutism kind of impacts every sector of France. And that's what you have to do as an absolutist. You have to think about every single part of life and every single, part of society, and kind of gaining more power and taking all the power for yourself. So first, let's think about bureaucracy. Guys, bureaucracy is just government. That's all bureaucracy is referring to as government, and how the government looks and how the government is run. So in the case of Louis XIV, he's using the middle class for a large part of the government positions, right? He's using that intendant system that Cardinal Richelieu created. He's continuing that, where he's giving these government positions to the middle class. He loves having them report, maybe directly back to him. He kind of is streamlining and consolidating positions. And the middle class is running a very effective government. Why? Because they're super grateful to him to have these jobs, but they're also proven business people. So, why wouldn't they be good government workers? He's also taking back and curtailing, what a word, right? Taking back some of the power from these other institutions. So those noble courts, the parliaments, out of here, right? No power for them, kind of getting rid of them. Not calling the estates general, right? That's not a thing we want to worry about either. We don't even want the people to feel like they have any power in that regard. Thinking about our nobles, how have they lost power? How have they been impacted? They don't have their government jobs anymore, right? Those have sailed out the window, right? That's done, that's gone. So they're kind of maybe upset about that. They're required to come live at Versailles for a few months of the year, leaving their homes, so kind of leaving the running of their homes to maybe wives, or maybe who they see as being a trusted person. They're required to constantly do these weird things at Versailles. Well, maybe not all weird, but some of them are definitely weird, right? They're required to come do that and take up their time there. So that kind of sucks, constantly under the watchful eye of the servants that Louis has. So they're definitely having their power restricted, and they're paying taxes, which really sucks for them. Your peasants are being killed by their taxes, and in some cases literally, right? They barely have enough money to get by. Starving is a very legitimate issue, and when taxes are raised, starving is even more of a legitimate issue for the peasants. But Louis has to keep them in check because they are a majority of the population. We also see him create this thing, the corvée, which is that required work tribute. Right? How am I going to use you guys? Well, you guys are farming, and so you're not constantly farming all year round, so you can help France with infrastructure projects, right? Forced labor. If you didn't want to do that, or maybe I'm using you for something else, maybe you don't have a job, well, I've got something for you, right? You can fight for the army of France. You can work for France. If you don't like that, maybe you're a galley slave. Or maybe I just execute you to set an example for the other peasants, right? Keep them in line. And I guess it wasn't so bad as a peasant if you're at Versailles working as one of those secret little servant spies, right? Kind of reporting back directly to Louis, because that's what he would have them do in some cases, right? So maybe you held somewhat a position of power, but, well, not real power, right? So maybe your life isn't so bad, but you're still a peasant, so it's not exactly great. Thinking about economics, well, Louis doesn't necessarily put the country in the best economic position, right? So he's spending a massive amount of money, all that money that's going toward Versailles, 60% of the crown's revenues. He is living this lush lifestyle, and doesn't put France in the best position. His finance minister, Jean-Baptiste Colbert, is kind of doing the best he can using mercantilism, kind of creating this surplus of goods and trying to bring in as much wealth as possible from trade, from these government monopolies, not wanting to, get help from other countries. But at the end of the day, Louis is just spending too much money, first on Versailles and his lifestyle, second on wars, right? The wars of Louis XIV, the fact that he's not really winning these things, and then he goes from not really winning to straight up losing, that's not putting France in a good position, right? They're in a very precarious position for their economy. So not affecting that sector so well. Still controlling it? Yes, absolutely, with mercantilism, with the government-controlled monopolies, but it's just not looking good. As far as religion goes, Louis is also controlling that, declaring himself head of the French Catholic Church, passing the Edict of Fontainebleau to kind of ensure that he has religious uniformity, right? You're not allowed to be a Huguenot. You can only be Catholic in France, so the Edict of Fontainebleau taking back his grandfather's Edict of Nantes. And finally, even cracking down on the Jansenists, right? Who would have been Catholics with some Calvinist views. Well, hey, you can't be here either because I'm going to have total control and you're going to totally listen, right? Or get the heck out of Dodge. And by Dodge, I mean France.